Every day at Sierra, you'll find top brand apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. And during clearance time at Sierra, those incredible prices are 40 divided by 2.5, carry the 1, even lower. And when you shop clearance at Sierra, you can save a whole lot more on everything you need to get active and outside. That's a lot of saving. Epic brands, vast selection, teeny tiny prices. That's Sierra. Visit your local Sierra store today or shop online at Sierra.com.
All these patients complaining they can't get their medicines. Insurers and PBMs are often owned by the same giant company, so middlemen, like me, decide what medicines you can get and how much you pay. But don't worry, if your prescription gets denied, we know another one that works for us. I mean, you.
Washington should stop PBMs and insurers from driving up drug costs. Learn more at phrma.org/insurer costs. Paid for by Pharma.
Ready to relax in your dream bath retreat without the stress of figuring out every detail yourself? At the Home Depot, your bath remodel is covered. Shop fully designed rooms and curated bath collections to go from inspiration to transformation fast. Use digital tools to visualize flooring in your space and find everything you need, from tubs to toilets and all the tile in between, to bring your vision to life. The Home Depot. Dream baths built here.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Look at him, one of the best, one of my favorites, and one of the best to ever do it. He's got that pen in his hand. He's probably doing a card for next season. He's probably preparing for game one of next season. It's not a golf card, is it? What's that pen for, Al Michaels?
I'm writing checks. We had the refrigerator guy was here yesterday, the landscaper last week. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Not a Zell guy?
I'm just trying to make sure I'm not overdrawn. Simple as that.
Just writing checks. So you're not doing it the way. So do you object the way I do? I just got into a fight with a valet because they wouldn't take my cash. You like doing it cash and checks. No Zelle, no Venmo. Just take my hard-earned American cash.
I am old school. Now, if you want to take a Bitcoin, they've tried to explain to me what this Bitcoin thing is, what the virtual currency is. Sorry, folks. Don't understand one iota of that.
Al, it's money, but on the computer.
Mm-hmm. It's money, but on the... You know what?
You have to mine it.
I'm still living in the green stamp world. So, you guys have no idea what that is.
I don't know what that means.
I do. No, I know what you mean, but I too am old.
Mothers collect. If you collected like 48 million green stamps, you got like a pillow or something like that. It was crazy.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show, because Tony just went, what? Put it on the poll. Do you know what it means to collect 4,600 or 46,000 green stamps and get a pillow? Al Michaels, as obviously the most miraculous and memorable sports call of all time, but he's been doing football for a long time. And it resonated with me, Al, when you said, being in Chicago, look, I've been here 30 times, but I've never felt this place feel like this. The moments this season that you got, Thursday Night Football has reinvented itself. It used to be terrible games, no longer. What are the signature moments for you this year where you felt the strongest and it reminded you about all the things you love about sports?
Well, certainly that night in Chicago, which was a tremendous game, and it looked like the Packers were going to run away. I think it was 21-3 at the half, 21-6 going into the fourth quarter, and that was the night when sound has feel. And having been to Soldier Field, I think that was my 31st Bears game since starting back in the mid '80s, and you could feel it shaking, feel the building shaking. So that would be one thing, obviously, that we wrapped up Thursday Night Football with on a Saturday night. But also, I think, the game of the year, and it seems to be a movable feast now, was the Rams-Seattle game back in, I think, week 16 in Seattle, the one where the Rams looked like they had it won. Shaheed runs back the punt, makes it a one-score game. They wind up winning it after the Rams had scored in overtime, a touchdown. Back come the Seahawks, get the 2-point conversion. And I think people at that point thought that was the game of the year. We've had a couple of more games of the year since then as well.
Are the Seahawks better than the Rams?
I think they are. I think the difference between those two teams right now might be special teams, and that's been the bugaboo for the Rams all season long. had to fire their special teams coordinator. Finally found the right kicker who came in. He did well, but the punt return situation in Seattle, that was really basically, when you think about it, I mean, a lot of plays come together to cost you a game, but I think none was bigger than muffing that punt, having Seattle recover and score a touchdown on the next play. So, I think both teams are so evenly matched. They played 3 tremendous games this season, but I think I give Seattle a slight advantage.
Have you heard or seen anything about the Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame on the first ballot that you have personally found stimulating, interesting, and what are your opinions there?
Well, I think what's interesting, Dan, is that, and I go back to the Baseball Hall of Fame in maybe the 70s, and I'll never forget when Willie Mays was eligible, and Willie was in his 5th year of retirement, and he got in, obviously, on the first ballot. But I think there were a couple of voters who did not vote for Willie. One of them was an esteemed sports editor in Atlanta who wrote a column about he did not vote for Willie Mays because Willie Mays, every time he came to town, wouldn't sit down to do an interview with him. He was off-putting. He was kind of a prick. So he did not vote for him, which tells me a lot of what I need to know about how this process works. There was another voter when I was working with Dan Deerdorf on Monday Night Football, and Dan eventually got into the Hall of Fame. But a man on the panel who had been a college player and had played the offensive line position, either guard or tackle, and was mad at Dan because he thought that Dan on television had become too much of an entertainer and not enough of an X's and O's guys, so he didn't vote for him. So you know how political this thing is? If you get mad at somebody and somebody did you wrong, maybe your little pound of flesh is not voting for him on the first ballot. But obviously Belichick will get in.
What pisses you off the most about the way sports media coverage has changed?
Well, I think there's just a lot of stuff out there. I mean, I've always been a stickler for really trying to get everything right. Have I? Of course not. I mean, I've made tons of mistakes through the years. You can't do as many games as I've done and not make a ton of mistakes. But I think right now, Dan, a lot of it is just how can I make noise? How can I how can I yell? How can I scream? How can I get into an argument with people? And you see enough of these shows where, to me, to sum it up, I guess basically I would say it's more heat than light. And sometimes it's all heat and no light. And I think that's the one thing that's so disturbing and of course, with the internet now and social media or anti-social media, it's like everybody hates everybody.
Al, Netflix has the new documentary Miracle, The Boys of 80, obviously about the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Do you ever get tired of talking about the 1980 Olympic hockey team and that whole experience? I mean, it's the greatest call in the history of sports, your call.
Well, yeah, you would think that I would be, but last week I was actually in Lake Placid. Anheuser-Busch put together an event, had 2,000 people in the arena, did a hologram of the game, holographic, whatever you call that thing. But anyway, they played the game and people on a screen. And during the game, the crowd in the arena that night, when the U.S. would score, would cheer. And when the Soviets would score, they would boo. And then we had Mike Eruzione and Mark Johnson and Jim Craig came in. So the reason I think I don't get tired of it 46 years later is that when people want to talk to me about it, they're always happy. They're glowing. They think back to what it was. And obviously, most of the people now in the country don't even remember it live, but now they've seen it through the documentary on HBO, the Miracle movie. Obviously, they've heard the stories, they've read about it. And the Netflix documentary, I've seen it. It is great. And it's great because they brought all of the guys back and brought them into Lake Placid. They were able to gather the whole group. And now you see them, who they are at this particular point in time and what it means to them. So it's a story that resonates. It's a story that, as I say, is going to be 5 decades old and in 4 years. But it brings so much happiness and joy to people. That's why I think I never get tired of it.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because even now getting to ask you stuff about it, like, I really love talking about it. Like, it makes me happy to talk about that.
Yeah.
Did you know right after the game, that you nailed the call? Did someone tell you, oh my God, like, amazing finish to the game?
And what are the parts of that call that people don't know? What are the untold parts of that story and that call that you think are worth knowing that only you know?
Yeah, your question.
Well, I mean, to me, I didn't go in with a thought about what would happen. First of all, Dan, I thought that the U.S. had absolutely no chance to win the game. Zero. So I'm not thinking about a win. And then all of it, they came from behind 3 different times, outshot 39-16. Soviets basically dominated the first 50 minutes of that game and put enough pressure on in the last 10 minutes. So at the end of that game, when the crowd is going crazy, I'm just trying to concentrate on doing the play-by-play, because that game could have ended with the Soviets scoring. So if I come up with a line and the Soviets score to tie the game, I mean, how stupid would that have sounded? So as the puck comes out to center ice, and I've told this story a few times, obviously, through the years, the word that came into my head was miraculous. And it gave me a chance to think of something, and it got morphed into a question and an answer. Did I know the extent of what it meant to some people when I said it? Absolutely not, because there was so much franticness in the truck. What are we going to do? They got to get Brooks for a post-game interview. The crowd's going crazy. And in those years, it's so funny. In 1980, it's not like it is right now. It's analog television and all of the rest. And in the truck, Roone Arledge, who ran ABC Sports, was worried that since it was on tape delay, they'd play the tape and there'd be a technical problem. So Sweden was playing Finland right after the U.S.-Soviet game. It was a doubleheader. So the crowd goes out. The new crowd comes in that had the tickets for the second game. And Arledge made Ken Dryden and me stay there and do the Sweden-Finland game into a tape machine, just in case there was a technical problem when the U.S. was playing the Soviets, and that was being aired on tape delay. So I really didn't have a chance to even kind of, go out on the street and see what was going on and watching the people carry on. No. And it wasn't until I got back to the hotel after the Sweden-Finland game that people said, hey, that was kind of the perfect ending. And I had to think about exactly what I said, because it was, to me, it was a miracle. The U.S. had no chance to win the game, but they did.
Howdy, folks. Mike Ryan here. Quick break to talk to you about one of our show's longest, most tenured, and greatest partners, Miller Lite. I love this product because so many moments were made legendary by having Miller Lite there. And it's not just the good times. Sometimes you and your pals are sad because a game didn't go your way, and you take a sip of Miller Lite, and you still recognize, darn, this tastes good. And I made the right call. And that sound of cracking open that beautiful white can, it does make me feel better. Thank you, Miller Lite. So many legendary moments start with a Miller Lite. Miller Lite just fits pretty much any occasion. Clean finish, refreshing, brewed for taste with simple ingredients like malted barley, and at 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, it never weighs you down. It's the taste that beer lovers have trusted for over 50 years. The original light beer since 1975 and still iconic today. Legendary moments start with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
In sports, championships aren't won alone. They're won with the right people around you. That's exactly what Intuit TurboTax brings to taxes. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, match with a dedicated tax expert who handles your taxes from start to finish. The experience is seamless. Start in person, finish online, move between both whenever needed. The dedicated tax expert keeps things updated every step of the way, so nothing falls between the cracks. Think of it like having a great head coach with a solid game plan. The plays are called, adjustments are made, and the work gets done while everyone stays focused on what actually matters. And just like game film doesn't wait for business hours, neither do taxes. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, you can get any tax question answered at no extra cost, even on nights and weekends during tax season. This is having someone in your corner running the whole operation and helping put points on the board. Get started at TurboTax.com. Only available with Intuit TurboTax Full Service experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
What are you reaching for? If you're a smoker or dipper, you could be reaching for so much more with Zyn nicotine pouches. When you reach for Zyn, you're reaching for 10 satisfying varieties and 2 strengths for a smoke-free and spit-free experience that lets you lean in, for chances to break free from your routine and a unique nationwide community. Whatever you're reaching for, reach for it with America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Find your Zyn wherever nicotine products are sold near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Dan Batard.
But it's just his titties are sitting on the shelf that is his belly.
Stugotz.
You said titties, and it like shocked me a little bit. I wasn't quite prepared for titties.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Do you have a second favorite call?
There were a couple where I think, I did the St. Louis, Tennessee Super Bowl after the 99 season that ended with Kevin Dyson not being able to get in. And I think I said something like, can he get in? No, he cannot. And the Rams have won the Super Bowl. So you kind of want to nail it at the end. And, that's not a memorable line necessarily. It's just kind of, it spoke to the moment. And I think I also did, speaking of the Super Bowl that we have coming up, I did 11 years ago the Seattle-New England game where Malcolm Butler made the interception. And that's one of those games where, you just want to make sure you nail it. Otherwise, you live in posterity with, what the hell did he just do? But I was able to, identify Malcolm Butler. And I think the word that came out was unreal. So you just want to, you want to capture the moment and not screw it up, basically.
Let's play for Al Vin Scully's greatest regret when it comes to publicly speaking during games.
Back about my third year, about 1952, the Dodgers were playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had an outfielder named Lloyd Merriman. I'll never forget it. And Lloyd hit a ball foul, and my mind told me to say, hot shot, hit, foul.
No,
and it never came out that way. And everybody in the booth fell down, and I was absolutely mortified. And the reason I remember Lloyd Merriman, I started filling. He's a former Marine Air Corps pilot, saw combat in Korea. I did on and on. That really, that had to be, considering how young I was, that was about it.
You got one of those, Al?
Nothing like that, but, Vinny, of course, had some fantastic calls, none better than, the year of the improbable, the impossible has happened when Gibson hit the home run in the World Series in '88. The only time I think I got caught not knowing I was on, we were in a short commercial. It was a game in Jacksonville, and Leslie Visser was our sideline reporter. And we came out of commercial faster than I thought. I got the wrong count from the truck, and Leslie and I used to kid each other because she's the crazy Boston College alum. And I said something like, "Oh, Leslie, we just stop with that Boston College shit already." And it made it on the air. But, in those years, it was a big deal. Now, who cares? You watch any number of shows, and that's nothing.
We have, unfortunately, not enough time. I'd like to talk to him for hours. Do you have a Cosell story for us?
A number of them. And I think the most famous one, which I've told a number of times, is in Kansas City when Howard had a lot of drinks. We went to the Savoy Grill, and we're coming back. And in those years, there were no budgets. You just did what you had to do. And so transportation was by limousine, and we had a woman by the name of Peggy. And every time there was a Monday night football game or a Monday night baseball game or a college football like in Lawrence, Kansas, she would drive the ABC crew. And to make a long story short, we were driving back, and Howard had an aquarium's worth of vodka at the Savoy Grill that night. And at a stoplight, he sees a couple of kids having a fight on the street corner, and they're surrounded by 6 or 7 other kids who are egging them on. And Howard gets out of the car, and he's got the toupee and the cigar, and he's wearing his yellow jacket because Howard always traveled with only the yellow jacket, the canary yellow. And he comes out of the car, and I'm trying to grab him. and there's no cell phones. You can't call, for help at that particular point. And I'm thinking, oh, God, they're going to jump him. And he goes, it's quite apparent to this trained observer, the young southpaw does not have a jab requisite for the continuation of this fray. Furthermore, his opponent is a man of inferior and diminishing skills. This confrontation is halted post-haste. So now you have all these mouths that are agape. They're going, what? And then they fortunately, they recognize him instead of jumping him. And somebody goes, Howard Cosell. Howard Cosell. He pats them on the head. Somehow a writing utensil gets produced. He signs a couple of autographs on their shirts, and one guy had a hat. And he pats them on the head, and he gets back into the car. It was so surreal. It was crazy. We get back in the limousine, and Howard's got the cigar going and the whole thing. And Peggy gets out of there as fast as she can. I can't say anything. It's like so stunning. She couldn't say anything. She gets about 2 blocks, stops at another stoplight, looks into the rearview mirror, and says, Mr. Cosell, I've been driving for 30 years. I thought I'd seen everything. I have never seen anything like that. And Howard leans back and says to her, Pegaroo, just remember one thing. I know who I am. And away we went. It was crazy.
Great story. And he was wearing the yellow Monday Night Football jacket.
Yeah, he would wear. He'd wear that. He'd be in the Howard would. He'd love to be in the lobby. He'd be regaling people and all that. And he and Jim McKay, they never really got along particularly well. I think Howard was always jealous of the fact that Jim got to sit in the anchor seat in Munich and announce, when the hostages were being held and eventually killed at the Munich Olympics. So I'll never forget, Howard is sitting we're doing the Kentucky Derby one year, and Howard's in the lobby and Jim is checking in, and he's got 5 or 6 people around him, and he looks over at McKay and he goes, Jimmy, look at this. There's no place I can go to be alone. And McKay did not break stride, taking his suitcase up to the room toward the elevator. And he says, Howard, did you ever think about your room? So those are crazy days.
He'll be returning to Amazon Prime Video's Thursday Night Football for another season of NFL coverage in 2026. Always good seeing you, Al. Thank you for making the time.
Dan, anytime. I really enjoyed that long session we had in L.A. this spring. Maybe we can do that again.
Likewise, would love to. South Beach Sessions. Pitchcock next.
Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60. When anything can happen in the biggest game of the year, DraftKings has your back with early exit. If a player goes down in the first half, you can still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. New DraftKings customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DAN. That's code DAN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Dan Le Batard.
Can I tell you something? I don't know, it was maybe like a month ago. And I decided to watch Pitch Clock. And I told Jeremy,
Stugotz.
This is a good show you're doing.
This is the Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz.
Did we get promoted to a bigger studio? There's a graphic and everything. We are back. Welcome to the Pitch Clock. Here's the pitch. A 2-part baseball segment
combining a nostalgic baseball trivia game and an interview with an expert.
This is the Pitch Clock. It's 2026. Happy New Year. And I can say that because it's the first day of Pitch Clock baseball back here. New Year. Hey, Chris.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, we still do that.
Forget about that bit?
I kind of did. I'm glad we brought it into the year 2026.
For the podcast listeners, I had to point to myself there to cue Jeremy to toss it to me for that.
Well, we brought that back. We also brought Ethan back. Hey,
yeah.
Ethan.
Why'd
you do that?
Some things you want to bring back, some
things you don't. then you bring me back.
I get hate over there, and we have to dish it to you over here. So, Ethan, what's our trivia game for this very first episode of the Pitch Clock in 2026?
We're going to draft a team of 7 infielders. And what we're going to do is we're going to add up their home run totals between 2005 and 2009. We're going right into the wheelhouse, boys.
Whoa.
And whoever has the most home runs is the winner.
And this is positionally? Like, can we take all first basemen or all third basemen?
I would like for you to select at least one of each, and then you have your pick for 3. So 4 starters, let's say, and then 3 bench players is basically what we're doing for. And we're only picking infielders.
This is a good one. Okay.
And this is like the 7 combined totals, not your starters totals.
Correct. The 7 combined total. Yep.
Okay. So let's knock out. Let's plan on in our first 4 rounds knocking out our starting infield, and then
You can use your strategy. I'll use mine.
Well, no, we should have a rule for that, where you have to get one of each position.
Yeah, I think get one of each first, and then we'll.
And
go
we're not talking
starters.
about
3 bench
catcher, including infield, right? First, second,
No.
third. So Chris, you get the first pick amongst all of these.
Alex Rodriguez.
Okay. That is obviously a great pick.
Yeah, thank you.
A-Rod hit 202 home runs between 2005 and 2009.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and knock out first baseman Albert Pujols.
Pujols, second in this time span with 206.
Ooh.
Keep that in game.
Let me get Jim Thome.
Jim Thome would be the answer there, not Jim Thome.
No. Nah, he's doing a thing.
Jim Thome had 141
there
over
it
his
is.
time.
141. I'm trying to think. Going around the league in my brain. I'm going shortstop. Miguel Tejada.
Miguel Tejada. All right.
That's a good one.
I don't think. I just don't know.
As A-Rod.
Well, A-Rod's your third baseman.
Oh, he is?
In that window? Yeah, he's your third baseman.
05 to 09?
Yeah. That's why I went shortstop. Because I assumed you.
I had A-Rod written down as my shortstop.
Just so that I can. Ooh, man. Just so that I can go on strategy. Because this is a huge difference.
I think we should be able to, like, guys that played multiple positions, you can pick where they.
Well, you should have been able to. You should. Oh, hold on a second. You should have had to say that out loud and declare when he was playing that. No, because my whole strategy was to go for a position that you hadn't done, attempting to try to get number 1. I was holding off on third base for a reason.
Sorry, you just get to make the rules.
Yeah, by this time, A-Rod didn't play shortstop after 05, and he played 6 innings of shortstop in 05.
Thank you.
So A-Rod, I'm going to declare as your third baseman.
Oh, 6 innings?
I'm going to declare him as your third baseman.
No, he's a third baseman.
Wild.
This is a house ruling.
This is why we shouldn't do the thing of you need one at every position.
05.
Just draft 7 guys in the infield. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, you'll be able to.
Yeah, but then you would just draft 7 first basemen.
Yeah.
This is gross.
It's our first guest of 2026. He was also our most frequent guest of 2025. The Emmy winner, Adnan Virk, joins us here as our first guest of the year on the Pitch Clock. Adnan, welcome to the show.
Jeremy, it's great to see you again, buddy. Thank you. I was so glad I was a featured guest a year ago, and I'm glad you got the Emmy Award winner part in there because that's the key. You know, Joe DiMaggio would not go anywhere unless he was introduced as the world's greatest living ball player, even though Willie Mays was still alive and was a better ball player than Joe D. So thank you for fluffing my ego. Let's talk some baseball, buddy.
Emmy winner Adnan, I want to talk to you about the 4 big moves that were made over the last week. Different significance for each of them, but all pretty impactful. You got Mackenzie Gore traded to the Rangers. You got Freddie Peralta traded to the Mets. Then, of course, Harrison Bader signing with the Giants. And then, of course, you had Cody Bellinger returning to the New York Yankees. Which of those 4 moves over the last week do you find the most impactful?
Well, it's interesting. Each guy, by the way, Harrison Bader, my friend Scott Rogowski, christened the Master, which you're like, what? I'm like, that's his nickname, Harrison the Master. You fill in the rest. I think Mackenzie Gore is going to be a great number 3. You know, for years, everyone said this guy's ace level stuff, which he is, but he hasn't been an ace yet. But I think on the Rangers as a number 3 is phenomenal because you've got Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. I think he could be like literally one of the best number 3s in all of baseball. So that's good news. Bellinger was absolutely vital for the New York Yankees. But the answer is Freddie Peralta. This guy led the National League in wins with 17 and a 2.70 ERA a season ago. Tons of strikeouts, great durability. And David Stearns loves him. And you see what David Stearns is doing, just kind of rebuilding this Brewers team with guys that he knows, whether it's Devin Williams fleecing him away from the New York Yankees, or in this case, getting Peralta. Like, I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's, you know, top 10, top 15 pitcher in baseball. He got Cy Young votes a season ago. For Milwaukee, I mean, to give him up, that's one thing. We just get used to this, right? They trade guys away. But for the Mets, that really fortifies their rotation.
Yep.
Now you've got a true blue ace atop there. Senga went from being a Cy Young contender to going to AAA, so he completely fell off. You have no idea what you're getting there. Minaya is very inconsistent, but I love Nolan McLean. Tong, obviously, his second season, so he's got to prove, but you got Peralta. That really helps up that Mets rotation.
So we just talked about the Mets. We added the Yankees to that. And I want to talk to you about some of these big market teams here. And maybe I'll have you stack these up for me in terms of their offseason. Because the Mets added Peralta. They also added Marcus Semien. They added Luis Robert Jr., Bo Bichette. They lost Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso. The Yankees, of course, bring back Bellinger. They trade for Ryan Weathers as a starter. A somewhat quiet offseason for the Yankees, all things considered. Another Marlins pitcher traded. It was Edward Cabrera to the Cubs. They also signed Alex Bregman. And then, of course, there's the Dodgers, who bring in Edwin Diaz. They bring in Kyle Tucker. Can you stack up these 4 big market off seasons for me in Chicago, LA, and both New York teams?
Yeah, I think LA obviously wins the free agency again, which is
of course.
You sign Kyle Tucker, you get Edwin Diaz, you get one of the best closers in baseball, and a terrific hitter to bolster that lineup. LA wins, okay, no doubt about that. In terms of the other teams, I think the Mets are at the very least intriguing. I don't know if necessarily better, but they've reshaped their roster. Apparently, they had a bad clubhouse. That's kind of been out there for a while. The locker room wasn't great, so okay, we had issues with regards to Brandon Nimmo. He's gone. McNeil gone. Pete Alonso, I think, is a good guy. I think they don't really value him as much as the Orioles did, so they give him a 5-year deal. He's gone. And then Diaz, I think they would have liked to cap, but he just wanted to go to the Dodgers. So, as you said, you get Peralta in there, who's outstanding. Simeon's a great defender. Bo Bichette's going to hit no matter what. Bo Bichette would have been the batting champion in the American League if it wasn't for Aaron Judge. He's going to get you 180, 185 hits. He always delivers. His defense is a little suspect. I don't know how it's going to play at third base. I did talk to Mike Lowell, of course, former Major League third baseman. He said, he'll need that 2.5 weeks in spring training just to figure out the angles, but he thinks that Bo will actually do a decent job acclimating, and obviously it makes sense because Lindor is at shortstop and Simeon's there at second base. So I would rank it Dodgers 1, Mets 2nd, Cubs 3rd. I'm with you on Cabrera being a good pickup. I do think Bregman's obviously a terrific hitter. And then the Yankees haven't done a ton, but I do think Bellinger was their most important piece of business. They did that. And Weathers throws hard. They gave up like 4 prospects to get him. So he's at least a guy that can slot in because Rodon's not available till May 1st, and Garrett Cole's not going to be back till June 1st. So they're going to need some innings there.
I can tell you the Marlins are very excited about both of those trades, and I am very excited about the Mike Lowell reference.
Miguel Tejada had 95 home runs from 2005 to 2009.
I don't love it, but out of a shortstop, I think I'm going to have to take it.
That's a pretty good number for a shortstop.
I'll take it. So, Chris, you need a second baseman and a shortstop before you can get to the wild card round.
Chase Utley.
Ooh, that's a fun one.
Chase Utley had 146 home runs in this time span.
God, that's brutal. I'm gonna. All right, remind me. There's another name I'm thinking of later, and I'll bring it back and we'll see. I'm gonna go Robbie Cano. He came up at some point in this window. They went to the World Series in 2009. I just don't know. He might have not come up until 2006.
Robbie Cano's career started in 2005.
It did. Okay.
So let me do some math here.
His first 4 years. It's not going to be Utley levels, obviously.
87 for Robbie Cano.
That's not good.
I'll just go Hanley for short.
Hanley.
Oh, I'm a fool.
For me?
I'm a fool. Oh. I'm a fool.
He had 103 home runs.
Yeah, that's really good.
From 2005 to 2009. I must have just looked past his name.
Okay. Third base. Because I have Pujols, Tejada,
and Cano.
Yeah. Third base, I'm gonna go Adrian Beltre.
Ooh, love that name.
My team.
Beltre had 103 home runs in this time span.
I'm not even close to Chris.
Cody's at 592.
Yes, I am.
And Jeremy
is not close to that.
491. So 101 home runs down. So you got plenty of ground to make up, but there's plenty of time. So now you go 3 at any position.
I'm going to go with Carlos Delgado.
Great pick.
Delgado is on here. He was 23rd in this time span with 137 home runs.
All right. Quick one off the dome. Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn, 4th in this time span.
We can go outfielders?
Wait.
First baseman.
Oh, this is crazy.
I bet he played more of his games.
Hold on.
That's fine. That's fine.
We're going to the ruling.
Yeah, it's fine. If he played more, I'll even do majority. It's fine. If he played more of his games in the outfield.
Adam Dunn played way too much outfield.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Way too much.
I had him as a first baseman.
He played thousands of innings in the outfield.
He definitely
played hundreds of innings.
This is gross. He definitely played a lot more first base than A-Rod played shortstop. But that's fine.
Is gross.
Jeremy's right on that.
That was the name that was there. He probably played a third of his games at first base.
Many home runs too.
And he hit so many home runs.
So many home runs. He had 198.
But we're doing infielders though, and if you want to play the word, everyone associates him with.
That's fine. That's fine. Yes. That's fine. I'm not arguing with you.
Can I reiterate? Gross.
Emmy winner Adnan, let's continue here. We haven't spoken since mid-December. So we've talked about some of these big market teams. We've talked about the moves made in the last week. But can you give me 3 other transactions that we can look at over the last month and a half or so that have caught your eye that the viewer should know about?
Well, it's interesting. All these moves, we always wait for all the big moves to happen at winter meetings, and then most of it doesn't happen with the exception of Pete Alonso and the Edwin Diaz. But look at the timeline on all these, Jeremy. January 10th was Bregman. January 15th was Tucker. January 16th was Bichette. But one that I think was under the radar was Ranger Suarez, which was January 14th. He signs a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Red Sox. And this is a guy who was a premier lefty a season ago, who's so vital to that Philadelphia Phillies team. I think Boston right now, they've got a pretty impressive pitching staff. They've got Garrett Crochet, you got Ranger Suarez, you got Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early, Brian Bayo. They got Sonny Gray now. So
there's a lot of depth.
There's a lot of depth. I don't know if necessarily all these guys hit. I'm not sure about Sonny Gray at this stage of his career. But you've got 8 starting pitchers there. So Boston, to me, at least they've got depth. I still feel like they're one bat away. They could use an Isak Paredes to help out their offense. But Boston, at the very least, excellent pitching. And I do think right before that, January 13th, Nolan Arenado gets dealt. And this is a guy who's an 8-time All-Star. He might go in the Hall of Fame strictly based on defense. He's one of the great defensive third basemen of all time, and obviously he can hit. I know his production has dwindled drastically the last couple of seasons, but I'm curious if a change of scenery will help him. Going from St. Louis to Arizona, it's an intriguing move for me, at least with him going to Arizona. And you mentioned Cabrera as well, January 7th. That Edward Cabrera trade to me was interesting. The Marlins, we know, always are flush with these arms. They're really good at retooling on the fly. Those are the 3 to me, Suarez, Arenado, and Cabrera.
Those are all big deals for teams that are trying to find a way to compete and take that next step this upcoming season. And I look forward to watching it with all of them. And again, I know the Marlins are pretty excited about what they got in return, Owen Casey from the Chicago Cubs. Let's talk about it here, right? We head into February, and there are always interesting free agents that are still available, especially in the last 5 to 10 years here, Adnan. So when we go into February of 2026, who's the free agent that's catching your eye, and maybe when and where do you think that guy might sign?
Yeah, we're a couple weeks away from Valentine's Day. And the segment we did on MLB Tonight was most eligible starters. So it's obviously Framber Valdez, who you thought was going to get a huge deal. But I think there's real concerns about his character. September 2nd, throwing his catcher, Cesar Salazar, that kind of a move just can't happen. So I think clearly everyone was like, not sure I want to give this guy big-time money. Therefore, it's an overpay for Dylan Cease from the Blue Jays, who's probably a great number 3 or a good number 2, and they give him $210 million. But the point is, I would have thought Framber would have gotten that kind of money, but instead it hasn't materialized yet. So I still think the Orioles make the most sense for them. The Orioles are one really good start away from being, I think, a legit team in the AL East again. They got Taylor Ward, good pickup there from the Angels. They got Pete Alonso at slugging first base. When you get Framber Valdez, and all of a sudden you go, all right, you're pairing them with the Gunnar Hendersons. Hopefully Adley Rutschman bounces back. Passaio at catching. Then Baltimore's a player again. So Framber's the guy for me. I know there's questions, like I said, about his character. That's why he hasn't been signed yet. But there's no questions about his talent. He was in the 97th percentile in ground ball percentage a season ago. He's had a 3.30 ERA over the last 4 seasons. He did have a bad second half, 6.05 ERA, but generally, this guy's hovering around 3.5 every season, and he's durable. He's going to give you 170 innings, so he's an excellent pitcher. There's no doubt about it. I'm a little surprised it's February 1st. He's still out there. Another guy is Zach Gallen, who had a great second half, 3.32 ERA.
Love
South
Zach
Jersey
Gallen.
Guy, fellow Eagles fan. He's a great guy. He's pitching the World Series, so I think he had a bad first half. Sometimes that happens at timing, but he's a good pitcher. He's out there, and the other one is
Lucas Giolito.
Lucas Giolito, exactly.
Yeah.
Giolito's still there, who also had a great second half. He had a 2.5 ERA in the second half. And when he wasn't available for the playoffs, you saw that sting there for the Red Sox. So I think those are 3 guys, 3 pitchers right there in terms of Framber Valdez and Giolito and Zach Gallen. And I will throw out a hitter as well, Jeremy. Eugenio Suarez is still out there, man. This guy
crazy
40-plus home runs. He was so big for the Mariners. They re-signed Josh Naylor. I think it would make sense to re-sign him there, but I can't believe it's almost February 1st. And Eugenio, and a guy who hits home runs like him, still out there on the market.
All 4 of these guys could potentially influence who ultimately end up being real contenders come October, and yet we're headed toward February, and all 4 of them are sitting out there. It should make for an interesting month next month. And Emmy winner Adnan, we'll probably have you back on this program before spring training gets started. So Emmy winner Adnan, thank you for joining us today with your Emmy behind you.
I appreciate it, buddy. We'll never get tired of hearing that. And yeah, I can't wait for the baseball to begin. A couple weeks away. By the way, much warmer weather there for you, Miami. We're looking at 12 degrees here in New Jersey. So
it's chilly, okay? I had to wear a cardigan today, Adnan. All right?
A chilly 49 degrees.
We'll see you soon. Now I need to think for a second. I'm going to go Paul Konerko.
That's good.
Paul Konerko's 13th. He has 156 home runs.
Okay. All right. Chipping away.
My first guess was 137, so you gained about 19.
All right.
2 more guesses?
Yeah.
2 more each.
I feel like I guess this guy's name every time we play any game. And I'm always wrong. I feel like I have my timing wrong on when this guy played. Richie Sexton.
I love that.
I use him all
He's
the
your
time.
guy.
He had a nice,
He definitely was around during this window.
He had some all-stars. Like, he had some 29, 30 home run seasons.
He hit 106 home runs in this.
That's good.
Jason Giambi.
Giambi hit 128.
So I'm still up by.
I still need to get like 60 more
60.
than you.
I just need
60.
to get someone in the hundreds here. Just a nice, solid.
You got this.
Did you think of someone good, and that's why you're?
I thought I did, but now I'm questioning myself if the window is the right window. But I think it is.
Chipper Jones.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Love Chipper.
No, that's good.
That's the end of Chipper's career, though.
I don't know.
That is the back end of his career, I have to imagine. 116 for Chipper.
Okay, yeah, you ain't beating that.
Ryan Howard.
Finally, somebody said Ryan Howard, dude.
You need to get.
It's not going to be enough, but somebody finally
It's
said
not like 170,
the
right?
number 1 home run totaler in this time frame. He had 220 home runs.
Then he did beat me.
I beat you.
Yeah, he beat me. Thanks. He just beat me.
Oh my God. Woo! You beat him. Holy 96 more.
Walk off!
Wow. 94 more home runs. All
Thank
right,
you,
so
Ryan
let me do the
Howard, and
math.
your endorsement of Subway.
Wow.
That felt good.
That was exhilarating.
Can I tell you, the face that I made wasn't for Ryan Howard.
Who was it for?
It was for Rafael Palmeiro. And then I thought it might be too late. And I got to tell you, Chris, you naming someone in the NL East.
That probably would have been too late.
Just triggered it?
It just triggered it in my head. In my brain, I went from, because who did you just say?
Chipper.
You got Chipper, and I went, ooh, David Wright. And then I went, who else was around at that time? Even after you said Chase Utley, I didn't think about Ryan Howard.
I know. I don't know why I said Chase Utley and not Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard.
Final total.
I love you.
That is wild. I said Chase Utley and didn't think of Ryan Howard.
So Jeremy wins by 44 home runs.
What a collapse.
Just shows never give up, boys.
That felt really
never
good.
give up.
That felt really good.
Really shitty.
None of these games are ever over.
See you guys in February.